Jinfrey Vanraid, once a hardcore gamer in the virtual world of the Grand Seven, is reincarnated into that very game world. Though initially shocked by the déjà vu, he quickly realizes he can use his extensive knowledge of the game to his advantage. After registering with the Adventurers Guild, Jinfrey takes part in a baptism ritual, where he astonishes everyone by effortlessly slaying 33 winged centipedes using a seemingly weak short sword. While others scoff at his choice of the compounder job, Jinfrey uses his hidden knowledge to craft a powerful centipede sword, rumored to have game-breaking abilities. Confident in his skills, Jinfrey bypasses beginner dungeons and heads for a C-rank dungeon, where he faces deadly monsters. Despite being at a low level, he takes down powerful enemies, even narrowly surviving an attack by 3 Norse snakes, thanks to his sword's second skill, a 10-fold speed boost triggered when he's near death. Jinfrey continues his journey, leveling up rapidly while recalling his motivation to become an adventurer to support his ailing family. Despite mockery from others, including his old nemesis Julius, Jinfrey stays focused, determined to exploit his deep understanding of the game world and rise to the top. The boy is overtaken by a strange sensation, a persistent feeling of déjà vu. Although he finds himself in a place he has never set foot in before, an odd sense of nostalgia washes over him. This peculiar experience is not new. It has followed him for as long as he can remember. The familiarity is almost haunting. Upon reaching the Adventurers Guild desk, the lady behind it inquires whether he is Jinfrey Vanraid, and if he has come to register with the guild. Jinfrey is once more struck by a sense of familiarity, as though he has encountered the lady before. As he waves his right hand, his registration is completed almost effortlessly. A strange sensation creeps over him, and suddenly, vivid flashbacks flood his mind. Memories from his previous life, where he had been deeply immersed in playing a game set in this very world. To his astonishment, he realizes that he has been reincarnated into the same game he once loved, called the Grand Seven. In the virtual online game, Jinfrey had risen to the ranks of one of the most dedicated, hardcore players. Suddenly, a strange sensation washes over him, and memories of the game world begin to flood his mind. It dawns on him that the world he now inhabits, the very world where he has long dreamed of becoming an adventurer, is merely a game world from his past life. However, instead of despair, a sense of happiness takes hold of him. As he contemplates the advantages, with his vast knowledge of this world, he knows he will be unstoppable. The counter lady, noticing his trembling, asks if he is all right. Jinfrey reassures her, telling her not to worry, and shows a firm resolve. Yet, he can't help but wonder why he retained the memories of his previous life. As Jinfrey completes his registration, he opens his system panel, only to find that his stats are yet to be determined. Before he leaves, the counter lady reminds him to take care of himself. Jinfrey nods and heads towards the baptismal altar. The moment he steps inside, he is taken aback. The place looks exactly as it did in the game. He recalls the tutorial stage, finding the similarities uncanny. The only glaring difference is that this time, it's not just a game, it's real life. Here, death would be final, with no respawning as there was in the game. Aware of the stakes, Jinfrey resolves to use his extensive knowledge of the game to his advantage. The announcement for the baptism ritual echoes through the hall, signaling that all adventurers have 30 seconds to choose their equipment. As soon as the announcement concludes, a bald man dashes toward the weapons, loudly proclaiming that he will be the first to make a selection. In his haste, he grabs hold of a spear, only to find himself in a heated confrontation with another adventurer, who has his eyes on the same weapon. A lazy boy wearing glasses spots a red sword in front of him and beams with excitement, but his joy is short-lived as another adventurer quickly beats him aside to claim the weapon. The system seems unfair to beginners, as their job choices depend entirely on the outcome of the baptism ritual. Jinfrey recalls the countless times he would reset the game, relentlessly pursuing a top-tier job until he finally secured one. It's a testament to a true gamer's spirit that I even found myself doing the same in the recently released solo leveling game as a seasoned veteran. After securing the spear by overpowering the other adventurer, the bald guy bellows with laughter, mocking Jinfrey and calling him a sloth. Jinfrey remains composed, offering a calm thank you in response, treating the insult as a compliment. Unfazed, he moves forward and spots the weapon he has been searching for. He picks up a simple short sword, which only has a single attack point. The bald guy, not missing a beat, ridicules him again, sneering that Jinfrey will end up with a worthless job. Jinfrey, armed with all his past knowledge, understands that the common sense in this world is flawed, as people here judge a person's strength solely by their job. Internally, he laughs, fully aware that the bald guy is just a noob, nowhere near the level of a hardcore player like himself. Jinfrey knows exactly what he's doing when he picks up the weak sword, confident in his choice, despite the other's misguided judgments. As the clock ticks down and the 30 seconds expire, the baptism ritual commences. The adventurers are instructed to defeat as many nasty ant creatures as they can within the next 5 minutes. Observing the vile beasts, Jinfrey recognizes them as winged centipede monsters that only appear during this ritual. These creatures are known for their potent poison, which can immobilize anyone it touches. The bald guy mocks Jinfrey, advising him not to get killed. Finding the comment irritating, Jinfrey chooses to ignore him. When the game begins, Jinfrey quickly notices that the centipede monsters follow the same attack and movement patterns. He wonders if they might share the same weakness. Drawing his sword, he strikes at the creature's vulnerable spot, killing it instantly. The unexpected efficiency of Jinfrey's strike shocks the other adventurers, who had not anticipated that someone so frail-looking could be so formidable. The bald guy dismisses it as pure luck. Jinfrey, drawing on his extensive gaming experience, knows that most games have their share of bugs, and this one is no exception. In this ritual, if a winged centipede is struck at its weak point with a short sword, it results in an instant kill. Meanwhile, other adventurers struggle to defeat the beasts. The bald guy manages to take down some monsters and grows confident that he will secure the swordsman job, which is deemed the strongest in this world. Jinfrey grows increasingly annoyed by the noisy bald guy, finding him even worse than the trolls that are ubiquitous in the game. As he becomes distracted by the bald guy's incessant taunting, a flying centipede attacks him, but Jinfrey narrowly avoids the strike at the last moment. Surprisingly, he finds himself enjoying this experience even more than he did the online game. With ease, Jinfrey dispatches a swarm of winged centipedes before the time limit expires. As the ritual concludes, the adventurers are given the chance to choose their jobs based on their performance. A chubby guy who manages to defeat 7 centipedes is presented with a selection of 3 basic jobs. Meanwhile, a participant who fails to kill even a single centipede is unable to choose a job and fails to register as an adventurer. It turns out that the bald guy wasn't really all talk. He actually managed to defeat 15 centipedes and secure the swordsman job he desired. Approaching Jinfrey to gauge his luck, he is stunned to see the options available to Jinfrey. Jinfrey, having defeated an impressive 33 centipedes, can select from any job in the game. The bald guy, trying to save face, walks away claiming it doesn't matter, since he can still choose the swordsman job. In reality, it was not Jinfrey who was particularly lucky, but the bald guy himself. The chance of obtaining the swordsman job with just 15 kills was less than 2%. Despite the common belief that the swordsman is the strongest job, Jinfrey opts for the compounder role. This choice draws scorn from the masses, who consider him foolish for not selecting a more prestigious job when he had the opportunity. In this world's common sense, a compounder is seen as the weakest job. Jinfrey pays no mind to their criticism and opens his inventory. He understands that the true value of a job lies in the skill of the person who wields it, not in the job itself. As he examines his inventory, the reason behind his massive centipede kill count becomes clear. His goal all along was not just to defeat the creatures, but to collect rare drop items that are available only through the starter ritual. As everyone watches with intense curiosity, Jinfrey begins using the drop items he collected, employing his compounder skills to fuse them. The onlookers are captivated as he successfully forges the centipede's sword. This weapon, not only his first hidden equipment, is rumored to be so powerful that it was said to have broken the entire game. The crowd watches in awe as the legendary sword takes shape before their eyes. It is mentioned that equipment serves primarily as a stat stick, with an adventurer's true power being determined by their level and job skills. However, a notable exception to this rule is the secret short sword that Jinfrey wields, which significantly boosts both strength and defense. Hardcore players know these kinds of items as hidden equipment. Now, as Jinfrey strolls through the bustling town filled with new adventurers, he observes the excited newbies in the crowd with a cheeky grin. He reflects on how everything feels just like in the game. A kind lady carrying a basket of apples offers him one, which he happily accepts. Leaning casually against a wall, he enjoys the apple while contemplating his next move. He recalls that the ultimate goal in the game is to defeat all 7 S-rank dungeon bosses, scattered across the 7 continents. With that in mind, he decides to start by increasing his strength through some dungeon grinding. Common sense would suggest beginning with F-rank dungeons, but fully confident in his secret knowledge, Jinfrey nonchalantly descends a staircase, leading to a portal for a C-rank dungeon. The scene shifts to an oak forest, the setting for the C-rank dungeon that hosts the boss. A system warning in red informs him that leaving the dungeon is impossible without defeating the boss first. Still at level 1, as Jinfrey sees his stats displayed, he recalls that the recommended level for this dungeon is between 17 and 30, while he jokes to himself about the danger of wandering around with only his level 1 defense. Something catches his eye. Turning around, he spots a giant, devilish plant resembling a Venus flytrap rushing toward him. With his right hand outstretched, he summons his ominous purple short sword. The thought of the level gap briefly crosses his mind, but Jinfrey, ever cool-headed, grips the short sword tightly, ready for a kill or be killed showdown in a single strike. The dark brown vines, thick as logs, whip toward him, and Jinfrey barely dodges in time, startled by the monster's unexpected speed. However, predicting the devil plant's next move, Jinfrey swiftly leaps into the air and spots an opening. With both hands gripping his centipede short sword, he strikes and splits the intimidating monster in half. The battle ends with a critical hit that activates his mind's eye skill. A satisfied smile crosses his face as he celebrates his one-hit kill. A system panel appears, notifying him that he has leveled up 9 times, thanks to the massive amount of EXP gained. Jinfrey feels a rush of excitement over the increase in his AP and MP, but what thrills him most is earning 45 skill points to boost the stats of his choice. With his attack power already strong, he decides to boost his defense. Jinfrey cheerfully rubs his cheek against the deadly purple short sword, thanking it for the fast level ups. His power lies in the high base attack, and the mind's eye skill providing a 3x damage multiplier. With this, even an amateur could conquer a B-rank dungeon. However, he notes that the short sword has yet to reveal its full potential. Enjoying his progress and with a plan forming in his mind, Jinfrey sets off to defeat the boss while grinding levels along the way. The trees rustle as Jinfrey strolls through a quiet area in the forest, but as he glances to his side, he realizes he's surrounded. Suddenly, a trio of Nor snakes emerges behind him. Sweat trickles down his cheek as he remembers the slim 1% chance of encountering one of these mini-boss monsters, let alone 3 at once. One of the blue creatures lunges at Jinfrey with its gigantic jaw agape. He barely escapes in time, leaping out of the way. Cursing the single-eyed snake with its awful personality, Jinfrey dodges as the monster charges at him again, somersaulting out of danger. The 3 snakes continue to overpower him, but Jinfrey calms down and regains his focus. Knowing their weak point, he leaps straight toward the neck of one Nor snake. However, just as his one-shot strike is about to land, another snake suddenly blocks his path. Jinfrey's eyes widen in shock, baffled by the monster's unprecedented teamwork. Then, out of nowhere, a sharp pain explodes in his shoulder. Blood obscures his sight as he realizes that the 3rd snake has sunk its fangs deep into his shoulder. Grating his teeth and pushing through the pain, he brings down his short sword and slices through the snake's neck. Defeating the monster boosts him to level 13, but Jinfrey continues to clutch his wounded shoulder in agony. A system panel flashes a warning, advising him to flee with only 8 AP remaining. But Jinfrey, despite the excruciating pain, remains calm, claiming it to be all within his expectations. He had anticipated such an attack and boosted his defense to avoid being killed in one strike. Moreover, his low HP has now triggered the centipede short sword's second condition. As the remaining 2 snakes approach, Jinfrey is sitting calmly cross-legged on the ground. A system panel appears, indicating that the conditions to unlock the centipede short sword's second skill have been met. His stat screen reappears, signaling a 10-fold increase in speed, unleashing the hidden equipment's second overpowered ability. The second skill, Divine Exo, is a passive that activates on the verge of death. With his newfound speed, Jinfrey effortlessly slices through the remaining 2 Nor snakes as if they were butter. The mini-boss monsters crash to the ground, and the EXP grants Jinfrey 4 more levels. Leaving the beheaded snake corpses behind, Jinfrey slumps against a tree, clutching his still painful shoulder. He decides to pause his level grinding, pondering whether healing his wounds is worth the effort. Although the 10-fold speed boost is extraordinary, the hardcore adventurer weighs the risk of being taken out in a single hit. In the end, he confidently dismisses the danger, confident that the area's monsters pose little threat to him, even at near 0 HP, makes perfect sense. Hardcore players ascend beyond the puny human error. Jinfrey ventures deeper into the forest, breezing through the monsters with ease. He comments that the tenfold speed boost not only increases his efficiency, but perhaps even multiplies his level grinding pace by 10 times as well. Jinfrey notes to himself that before facing the Forest Guardian boss, he needs to compound a special item. He recalls that the recipe requires 7 specific ingredients. As he ponders how many items he still needs, a ferocious white bear suddenly leaps at him from behind. Without a second thought, Jinfrey casually slays the beast, treating it as a minor inconvenience. He continues to complain about how annoying it is to gather ingredients, but with a final sigh, he resolves to stop whining and start taking action. The scene moves to a giant waterfall, where Jinfrey busies himself collecting various flowers, leaves, and berries. To his surprise, he hears a familiar voice call out to him from nowhere. Turning around, Jinfrey sees Julius, a proud figure from his village, accompanied by another man. With a gaudy smirk full of disdain, Julius calls out to him, using the old nickname Jinfrey the Loser. Jinfrey briefly wonders how Julius is still stuck in such a low-level area even after 3 years of adventuring. Meanwhile, Julius mocks Jinfrey's job, belittling him further by calling him too poor to afford proper equipment. When Julius's companion asks if Jinfrey is a friend, Julius scoffs, remarking that it would be pathetic to be friends with someone so poor. He continues to demean Jinfrey by mentioning that his father died and his mother is bedridden with illness. Jinfrey listens in silence, a strong resentment burning in his eyes. Lost in thought, he recalls that his motivation for becoming an adventurer was to earn money for his struggling sister and mother. Julius, irritated by Jinfrey's silence, curses him for ignoring him and threatens to beat him just like he used to. Grabbing Jinfrey by the collar, Julius's aggressive move makes him quietly wonder how he should handle the situation. However, their squabble is abruptly interrupted by a deafening roar that echoes throughout the forest. Both turn their heads toward the source, which reveals itself to be an enormous blue monster, a cyclops wielding a tree as a makeshift club. As the cyclops locks its solitary eye onto Julius's companion, he freezes in place. Snapping out of his shock, Julius yells at him to stop staring and run. Meanwhile, Jinfrey silently observes the unfolding chaos. Jinfrey quickly realizes that the boss is specifically targeting the companion. Roaring again more ferociously this time, the Cyclops throws another powerful swing, bringing its massive club crashing down the man in green. All that remains is a splatter of blood. Jinfrey curses his inability to intervene, while Julius falls to the ground, trembling in fear. The Cyclops then shifts his gaze to Jinfrey, who knows he stands no chance against the boss with such a wide level gap and high defense. The giant club comes crashing down, creating a crater where Jinfrey stands. He evades swiftly, recognizing that he is now the target. A notification confirms his suspicions, warning him that he can no longer flee the battle due to the Cyclops' one-eyed skill. Standing tall with his short sword in hand, Jinfrey readies himself to face the boss. The Cyclops unleashes another powerful attack, smashing the ground with its club, as Jinfrey barely manages to dodge. Julius watches in stunned silence as Jinfrey executes a rapid series of attacks using his divine excel. He questions whether this really is the Jinfrey he once knew. Meanwhile, Jinfrey realizes that his hit-and-run tactic isn't effective and decides to climb the Cyclops' club. He nimbly scales the club and leaps off the Cyclops' punch like a step, using it to climb even higher. As he deftly twists his limber body, Jinfrey spots the monster's exposed nape. With his short sword firmly gripped in both hands, he dives straight down toward the boss's neck. As if he had anticipated it, Jinfrey's impressive dive attack barely makes a dent in the Cyclops' armor-like skin. His focus shifts immediately to the club hurtling toward him. He quickly unmounts the boss monster as it smacks itself with its own weapon to knock him off. The classic "why are you hitting yourself?" Exhausted, Jinfrey struggles against the boss due to the significant level gap. A chilling roar echoes through the forest and terrifies Julius, who is cowering in the bushes. As Julius would say, he's not cowering, but rather strategically positioned for maximum safety. Watching Jinfrey phase in and out of sight, Julius wonders what skill he might be using to move so fast. Meanwhile, Jinfrey darts around, evading the Cyclops' relentless attacks. He realizes that he must compound the special item to defeat the boss. Glancing toward the bushes where Julius is hiding, he notices the few ingredients he requires. Julius, initially confused, is then shocked as he sees Jinfrey deliberately leading the enraged boss straight toward him. Jinfrey warps past Julius, quickly gathering the remaining ingredients until he finally finds the last requirement, water. Standing in the fresh spring, Jinfrey declares his victory and begins the compounding ritual. Water swirls around him as the key item materializes into a clear bottle filled with purple liquid. Infuriated, Julius criticizes Jinfrey for trying to use poison against the poison-resistant Cyclops. He screams that the poison wouldn't affect the boss, even if it drank it. But Jinfrey remains confident in his plan. Holding the bottle in his hand, Jinfrey takes out Nor's snake seer brospinal fluid and compounds the two poisons together. With a smug smile, Jinfrey looks down at the now more sinister and potent bottle of poison. Julius, puzzled, wonders why the poison was compounded twice. For the final step, Jinfrey douses his short sword with the purple poison, completing the last part of the compounding process. Julius is left baffled as a system panel appears, notifying him that the centipede short sword has gained a poison attribute. A lilac haze radiates from the centipede short sword in Jinfrey's hand, showcasing its newly revealed power. Appalled at first, Julius is confused as to why Jinfrey has compounded 3 times just to add a single attribute to his weapon. However, his expression soon turns to fear as the giant blue Cyclops shouts a thundering roar, silencing Julius. In the meantime, with the demonic short sword now upgraded, Jinfrey challenges the Cyclops to a second round. The monster lifts its club high, preparing to crush the small figure before it. However, the club lands in empty water as Jinfrey dodges swiftly, launching a flurry of attacks across the boss's body. Jinfrey ascends to the Cyclops' head once more and slices its neck from behind with a newly poisoned short sword. The Cyclops lets out an agonizing howl as it suffers from severe poisoning. Yet, the poison effect is quickly nullified. Jinfrey remains undeterred by the monster's resistance, resolute in his readiness to poison the boss as many times as necessary. The cycle of severe poisoning from Jinfrey's slicing attacks and the Cyclops' subsequent nullification continues until the monster is reduced to a mere shadow of its former self. Finally, standing atop the Cyclops' nape, Jinfrey prepares to end the battle with a decisive dive attack, aimed straight at the Cyclops' eyeball. Ouch! He should be charged with monster abuse. Striking the monster's weak point, Jinfrey's mind's eye skill activates, bringing the Titanic boss to its knees. A panel appears, notifying Jinfrey of the experience points earned for defeating the Cyclops, as he nonchalantly lands on the ground. Hiding behind a tree throughout the battle, Julius is left flabbergasted, questioning whether this is truly the Jinfrey he has known since childhood. Now completely satisfied, Jinfrey admires his newly created poisonous centipede short sword. Turning to look at Julius, he finds the formerly proud man, dashing off in fear of being attacked. Jinfrey sheaths his short sword and opens his status menu, noting that his level has risen to 23. Planning to allocate his skill points later, Jinfrey checks his inventory, which now holds over 300,000 gold and a Cyclops fang. He rejoices at the thought of sending a large amount of gold to his sister and sickly mother. Jinfrey appreciates the lack of reward division as a solo adventurer, and then examines a particular item in his inventory, a Cyclops eye. Jinfrey closes the menu and looks forward to the next hidden equipment he will compound with a grotesque yet useful eye. The scene moves to the flat plains, a D-ranked dungeon. Jinfrey stretches under a tree in the wonderful weather. He reviews his plan to finish the game by beating the demon bosses on all 7 continents. To achieve this, he must compound the second secret equipment. Recalling the picture of an angel-like statue, he readies himself to craft the item needed to solve the trial at the fallen goddess statue. Jinfrey begins grinding to gain levels, so that he can defeat the 7 demon lords and achieve world peace. Memories of his mother and sister flash in his mind, motivating him to earn enough money to give them a comfortable life. As a bonus, it would also silence the villagers who look down on him. The scene shifts to the starter city, where news of Jinfrey's exceptional baptism ceremony has spread. It is a groundbreaking record popular throughout the Adventurer Association. His name and appearance are publicly announced, even mentioning his destination, leaving the citizens in disbelief. Returning to Jinfrey in the flat plains, monster corpses lie scattered at his feet. He finds it surprising that he hasn't found any cobalt birds, which he needs to compound the secret equipment. According to his recollection, it isn't even considered a rare monster. It is noted that there are 6 dungeon ranks in each continent ranging from F to A. whereas the S rank is reserved for the Demon Lord's dungeon. According to Jinfrey's knowledge, the cobalt birds are most commonly found in the D-rank dungeon of the first continent. Deciding to give up for the time being, Jinfrey unequips his short sword and makes his way back to the city. Now in a medieval architectural setting, he strolls around, searching for a general store. He spots a store by its sign and decides to go inside to ask for some information. However, as soon as he turns the doorknob, the noise of a commotion reaches his ears. It seems a band of thieves wearing bandanas is making their escape after a robbery. One of them, carrying a sack of stolen goods, pushes the door open and commands Jinfrey to step aside. The three thieves then leave the store, celebrating their successful heist. As they continue on their way, they set their sights on a mother and daughter with purple hair walking ahead of them. One of the thieves roughly shoves the daughter, causing the fragile girl to fall. However, Jinfrey catches her just in time with a near-instant dash. Holding the little girl in his arms, Jinfrey glares at the wicked trio with disdain. The mother expresses her gratitude to Jinfrey, while her daughter cries in her embrace. Meanwhile, the band of thieves makes their escape. One of the nearby shopkeepers curses the group, now identified as the Mountain Dogs. He explains that the Mountain Dog Guild has started sending robbers into this area. As the pieces come together in Jinfrey's mind, the shopkeeper mentions that the cobalt bird shortage is a direct result of the guild's activities. Jinfrey's face pales in shock as the new information surprisingly solves his dilemma. The shopkeeper adds that the guild members don't care who they harm, and declares his intention to close his shop for a while. Jinfrey, deep in thought, watches as the mother-daughter pair and the shopkeeper walk away timidly. Although he has no desire to take on an entire guild, Jinfrey carefully weighs his motivations. Ultimately, the excessive hunting of the cobalt bird ignites a fierce determination within him. He rushes off, ready to confront the guild. Now in an alleyway, he observes the thieves. The criminals are busy celebrating with drinks, while Jinfrey cautiously peeks around a corner. The guild mates discuss having cleared out most shops in the area. In the meantime, Jinfrey is busy scanning for cobalt bird feathers and spots multiple jars in a crate. This confirms his suspicion, frustrating him. The loitering thieves discuss the news of his 33 kills in the baptism ceremony, dismissing it as fake news. Jinfrey begins to formulate a plan to take them on when an unexpected voice calls out from behind. A thief using cover to conceal his presence approaches Jinfrey with a dagger in hand. Attempting to defuse the situation with a joke, Jinfrey quickly realizes the thief is not amused and instead threatens to end his life just like he did with the last spy. Seeing no other option, Jinfrey swiftly dodges the thief's slash and equips the centipede. Jinfrey throws the thief off balance with a swift kick and knocks him out. The ruckus arouses suspicion from the band of drinking thieves. When the ruffians notice him, they wonder if he is another guild spy. But Jinfrey makes an ironically failed attempt at coming clean. Changing his job to Gandhi, Jinfrey humbly pleads that he has no wish to fight and only came here to grab some cobalt bird feathers. Seeing the suspicious guy say so with a short sword in hand, the thieves panic and decide to attack him. Seeing as there's no choice, Jinfrey readies himself for combat. Facing three thieves, one of them rushes forward with an overhead strike. Jinfrey calmly slaps the thief's wrist aside and smacks him across the face with the flat side of his short sword. The injury to their collar riles up the others, who then start ganging up on Jinfrey. As the fight continues, Jinfrey comically counters each attacker in a manner like a circus routine, all while apologizing for the injuries he causes. The last remaining lackey curses at Jinfrey as he approaches from behind with an axe, but Jinfrey swiftly ducks and silences him with a swift hilt strike to the jaw. Jinfrey pouts, reiterating his aversion to fighting and insisting they brought this upon themselves. Refocusing on the cobalt feathers, an adept guild member silently launches an attack from behind. At the very last moment, Jinfrey senses the danger and blocks the slash. The man in the red bandana taunts Jinfrey, pointing out how often he leaves his back unguarded. Realizing that it was covered that caught him off guard again, Jinfrey quickly recognizes the man. The thief introduces himself as Masuo, the submaster of the Mountain Dog Guild, and boasts about his popularity. However, Jinfrey savagely denies knowing him and mocks him for having such an embarrassing title. Masuo, stung by Jinfrey's sass, recalls their last encounter and regrets not having killed him earlier. As Jinfrey calmly parries each of Masuo's strikes, he taunts the thief about his low-class weapon. Unfazed, Masuo retorts by accusing Jinfrey of relying solely on his luck with weapons. Masuo lectures Jinfrey on the importance of job skills in real combat, stating that weapons are merely adornments. Frustrated by Jinfrey avoiding all his attacks, Masuo curses at him. He recognizes the low-tier compounder equipment, sharply contrasting with Jinfrey's high-quality weapon. He accuses Jinfrey of surviving purely due to his weapon. Masuo calls him a weak rookie and summons multiple daggers. A rain of daggers flies towards Jinfrey, which he parries at breakneck speed. Masuo continues to lecture Jinfrey that knowing his opponent's job gives him a massive edge in combat. He underestimates Jinfrey's battle prowess as a compounder, having only one skill. So when he taunts Jinfrey for having no clue about his class, he indifferently calls him a thief. Annoyed by Jinfrey's terrible guess, Masuo reveals himself as a summoner. Meanwhile, Jinfrey worries. If Masuo really has the plunder skill, losing his centipede sword could spell the end of this battle. Keeping this in mind, Jinfrey decides to end the battle swiftly, dashing straight towards Masuo. Jinfrey's attention is diverted to the two men, who instantly appeared behind him. Realizing they had been invisible using the covert skill, he flips onto one hand and dodges the sneak attack. As Jinfrey retreats, he gradually slows his backward momentum, ultimately stopping with the hilt of his centipede weapon, striking Masuo directly in the crotch. This supercritical hit activates the mind's eye skill, causing Masuo to lose consciousness on the ground. He sure can't handle pain well for someone proudly called his sub. Masuo's subordinates move to check on him, while Jinfrey expresses regret for the severe damage inflicted. Taking a serious tone, Jinfrey approaches the two thieves. Using Masuo as an example, he threatens them to hand over all the cobalt bird feathers if they wish to avoid the same fate. The two thieves comply with Jinfrey's demand, stumbling away to collect the feathers. However, Jinfrey's mission faces another obstacle when a new group of guild mates approaches from behind. They accuse him of being an attacker from an enemy guild, which enrages Jinfrey. The guild mates surround him densely, much like bugs attracted to a honey trap, as they taunt him for interfering with the wrong gang. One of them notices their guild's submaster lying unconscious on the floor. Their attention shifts to wondering what happened to their esteemed submaster. Unable to comprehend how an unknown person could defeat Masuo, they conclude that he was probably too drunk. While Jinfrey chuckles about Masuo being drunk on his measly power, a commanding voice cuts through the air, grabbing everyone's attention. A shirtless, mature man with a red bandana enters the scene. The lackeys run over to the man introduced as guild master. Jinfrey looks at him curiously, and the thieves inform the guild master that some guy decided to challenge the guild. Noticing the lone figure standing over Masuo's unconscious body, the guild master locks eyes with Jinfrey. Realizing that the bodies belong to his guild members, the guild master inquires about Jinfrey's affiliation. When Jinfrey declares himself a solo player, the guild master grins, acknowledging that Jinfrey has single-handedly defeated everyone. Bursting into laughter, the master unexpectedly invites Jinfrey to join his guild, leaving everyone, including Jinfrey, stunned. The guild master explains that under normal circumstances, he would punish anyone who dared to attack the guild. However, he believes that someone capable of defeating Submaster Masuo is worthy of joining their ranks. The guild master drapes his arm around Jinfrey, making light of his silence, but Jinfrey swiftly rejects the offer and slaps his arm away. With thoughts of his personal grudge and a mother's revenge fueling him, Jinfrey declares that his only interest is in the cobalt bird feathers. He insults the guild further and brazenly orders them to hand over the feathers. Offended by the insult to his guild, the guild master demands that Jinfrey repeat himself. Undeterred, Jinfrey adamantly repeats his statement, sensing a growing bloodlust directed at him. The guild master leaps into the air, bringing his giant axe crashing down onto the pavement, which Jinfrey narrowly avoids. Lifting his axe, the guild master declares that after giving a proper beating, he intends to make someone as audacious as Jinfrey his slave. Witnessing the destructive power of the guild master's attacks, Jinfrey quickly deduces that his opponent is not a thief. Swiftly dodging the lethal axe swings, Jinfrey prepares to end the fight before the guild master can unleash his job skill. After ducking under a powerful strike, Jinfrey dashes behind the guild master and lands a solid hit on his flank with the flat side of his centipede weapon. Sensing that Jinfrey is a formidable opponent, the guild master's demeanor shifts as he becomes serious. With a menacing expression, he unequips his axe. Caught off guard by this unexpected move, Jinfrey quickly realizes that the guild master's job is that of a fighter. The foreboding red aura begins to envelop the man as he activates his in-fight skill, causing his body to bulk up to 3 times its original size, enhancing his physical stats. Wait, I didn't know this was the Incredible Hulk." The lackeys cheer in celebration of their master's powerful job skill, while the guild master, now towering over Jinfrey, stands face to face with his opponent, who is half his size. The guild master launches a devastating punch toward Jinfrey, shattering the wall behind him. Jinfrey quickly understands that a single hit would be fatal. With the guild master letting out a thunderous battle cry, Jinfrey readies himself to incapacitate his opponent with one final, decisive attack. Jinfrey delivers a powerful strike right into the guild master's liver, causing the man's jaw to drop in excruciating pain. The critical hit deals additional damage, leaving the onlookers in stunned silence. Thus, the guild master collapses face first onto the ground. Witnessing this, one of the thieves suddenly recognizes Jinfrey and realizes he might be the black-haired man with blue eyes mentioned in recent news. Looking closely at his face, panic sets in, as they confirm it is indeed the famous blue-eyed Jinfrey Vanraid. When Jinfrey tries to ask a question, the mountain dogs anxiously take off at full speed. Jinfrey's jaw drops in surprise at how the criminals know his name, but soon he decides not to worry too much and returns the stolen goods to the shopkeepers. The scene shifts to the B-rank dungeon, Sigrun Fall. Jinfrey is seen walking away from the Baphomet boss monster after an unexpectedly easy fight. He travels to a marble white building where a praying angel statue is seen. Standing before it, Jinfrey expresses his longing for the fallen goddess statue. Looking at the sad monument, Jinfrey begins the process of compounding the second secret equipment. He reflects on how most people would attempt to solve the puzzle by replacing the statue's missing eye, but only a few have tried using the Cyclops eye instead. But throughout time, no one has ever noticed the small gap in the statue's wings where the cobalt bird feathers should be placed. A system panel appears, notifying Jinfrey that the fallen goddess's wish has been fulfilled. The statue begins to glow, and tears stream from its now shining left eye. Dropping into a chalice, a halo materializes above the cup. Lucifer's Halo, the second secret equipment, grants its user the skill to read minds and sense the magic of all living things within 5 kilometers. Jinfrey remarks that something this overpowered would obviously be hidden behind a difficult trial. Jinfrey equips it happily, before realizing how gawky it looks. Rationalizing that its appearance isn't too strange, he clenches his fist and resolves to tackle the S-rank dungeon. Now at the Adventurer Guild's headquarters, Jinfrey is stunned. He recalls Agni Volcano. The S-rank dungeon requires at least 7 or more members to enter. Furthermore, he finds no recruitment requests on the job board. It is explained that when someone conquers the S-rank dungeon on a continent, it respawns somewhere else, and defeating the first demon lord grants the Adventurer title, allowing them to travel to the second continent. As he is lost in thought, he suddenly hears someone shout that the famous flame magician Frana's party is here. Looking at the troubled blonde lady, Lucifer's Halo uncovers her thoughts with its mind-reading skill. Frana is in search of members to take on the S-rank dungeon, but lacks members, so a wide smile appears on Jinfrey's face as he approaches her party. Thus, with a dashing smile, Jinfrey offers to join their party. The group collectively falls silent, their faces blank as they stare at his halo. Embarrassed, Jinfrey offers a wry smile, aware of their thoughts even without the mind-reading ability. One of the members mentions that they decided to abandon the dungeon and suggests that Jinfrey find another party. However, the halo reveals that this member is actually worried about a hospitalized teammate. Jinfrey still presses on and asks the leader Frana for her opinion. He points out that she seems particularly anxious and asks if she has an urgent reason to conquer the dungeon. Frana sternly declines, stating he has no business with her. But the mind reading reveals that her anxiety is due to her father's disappearance from the dungeon over a month ago. Then to his surprise, her anxiety is detected once again. It reveals her thought that something is severely wrong with Jinfrey for wearing the halo. Flustered, Jinfrey furiously kicks it away. Of course, there is always someone who will judge his fashion sense. Jinfrey reintroduces himself and states his desire to enter the S-rank dungeon as well. As Frana recognizes the name as familiar, a party member remembers that Jinfrey was in the news. The group is stunned that someone so unassuming could have defeated 33 monsters in the baptism altar. Jinfrey is relieved, finally understanding the reason behind his notorious reputation, though he finds the intrusion into his privacy unpleasant. Frana's curiosity deepens as she wonders how Jinfrey seems capable of reading her thoughts. Yet, she's impressed by his personality, finding it exceptional compared to other adventurers. Despite his meek appearance, she senses the presence of a seasoned veteran. A mischievous smile spreads across Jinfrey's face as he reads about her interest in him. Much to the party's surprise, Freyna calmly accepts Jinfrey into their ranks. Her red cape flutters boldly as she rises gracefully from her seat. Freyna clarifies that she will abandon Jinfrey without hesitation if he proves unworthy. With a satisfied smile, Jinfrey's wish to tackle the S-rank dungeon is swiftly granted. Freyna's party enters the S-rank dungeon, with Jinfrey quickly noticing that the ruthless female leader has placed him at the very front. The tank guy begins to question Jinfrey's reliability, openly expressing his distrust. Freyna shows no concern and remarks that if Jinfrey proves useless, they can simply use him as bait. Arthur then asks if Jinfrey is truly the one who made the news, but Jinfrey's answer does little to satisfy him, only deepening the suspicion. Hearing this, the tank guy loudly accuses Jinfrey of lying, arguing that he looks far too weak to be the person in question. He even mocks Jinfrey for wearing an angel halo, a comment that starts to get under Jinfrey's skin. However, the mockery quickly stops when Jinfrey suddenly senses an unknown magic approaching. Realizing that the monsters from the summit are all descending at once, Jinfrey draws on his past experience and urgently instructs the tank guy to use his shield skill to protect everyone. The tank guy stares at him with mistrust as Jinfrey announces an eruption is coming. But before he can express his irritation, the volcano erupts with a deafening roar. Molten rocks rain upon the party as Jinfrey urges them to gather and use the shield skill. Reluctant but without choice, the tank guy is forced to use the reflect guard skill and protect the party from volcanic rain. As Jinfrey watches the relentless shower of rocks, he realizes that they are stuck until it ceases. But then, a calm voice breaks through the tension, instructing everyone to stand back. Freyna steps forward and casts Meteorite Blaze, vaporizing the incoming rocks instantly. The obvious solution to dealing with a meteor shower is to make your own. While Jinfrey is awed by Freyna's powerful magic, the ground beneath them suddenly begins to split, swallowing Arthur. Yet Jinfrey acts swiftly and catches him just in time. However, the ground under Jinfrey also gives way, plunging the two into oblivion. Jinfrey curses his fate as the two fall an impressive distance, landing on top of a sheep monster with a bat head. Jinfrey attributes their survival to the 100 luck stat from Lucifer's halo. Jinfrey warns Arthur that the creature absorbs impacts and amplifies the force in a counterattack. Arthur brushes off Jinfrey's warning as common sense and readies himself as the beast lets out a deafening roar. The sonic blast crumbles the wall behind them, forcing Jinfrey to dive and pull Arthur out of harm's way just in time. Criticizing Arthur's attitude, Jinfrey orders Arthur to stay out of his way if he doesn't wish to die. Arthur looks at the wall, realizing how close to death he was without Jinfrey's quick action. He is stunned by the sheer strength of a standard monster in the S-rank dungeon, and just as he glances at the terrifying creature, its head is suddenly sliced off. Arthur stands in disbelief, his face damp with sweat, as he struggles to comprehend how quickly Jinfrey managed to defeat the centipedes and more with just a single strike. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Freyna, who is using her search skill, known as dozing. She informs her teammates that her brother Arthur is alive. Freyna is visibly disturbed, questioning why a stranger like Jinfrey would risk his life to save people he had just met, and how he was able to detect the eruption earlier than anyone else. Freyna's teammates suggest they should go down to find her brother, but she declines, pointing out that searching for him could deplete their energy before their crucial battle with the Demon Lord. She reminds them of their primary objective, to bring peace to their continent, even if only temporarily. Freyna expresses confidence that they will eventually reunite with both her brother and Jinfrey, as their shared goal is to reach the summit. Freyna's unwavering confidence in her brother is evident. As the scene shifts back to Jinfrey and Arthur, it becomes clear that Arthur has now opened up to Jinfrey and seems to trust him. After ensuring that Arthur rests for a while, Jinfrey begins moving downwards. Arthur questions whether they should be heading in the opposite direction. Jinfrey responds by asking if Arthur really wants to challenge the Demon Lord at his current level and risk certain death. As Jinfrey's mind-reading skill activates, he discovers that Arthur is also eager to grow stronger. Following Jinfrey, Arthur finds himself in an area teeming with terrifying firebird monsters. Jinfrey explains that hunting these creatures is a way to increase their strength. The monster stats are revealed, showing that they are flame bone birds with a level exceeding 40. As Jinfrey continues to hunt the flame bone birds, Arthur also levels up from the experience. A flame bone bird approaches him, but Arthur swiftly shoots it down before it can close the distance. After successfully dispatching the bird, Arthur is stunned to see Jinfrey. Jinfrey, having slain all the birds, is leisurely enjoying their meat, much to Arthur's amazement. A peaceful barbecue amidst the remnants of a brutal battle. Arthur, puzzled, asks Jinfrey if he is eating the drop items. Jinfrey offers him a piece of leg meat, which tastes surprisingly like fried chicken, and improves even more after reheating. Suddenly, a shockwave erupts, knocking Arthur back against the rocks. Jinfrey quickly checks on him, advising him to find a hiding spot, while he deals with the large volcano salamander now looming in front of him. As Jinfrey turns to face the beast, he observes that it appears sluggish, as if it is overeaten. The salamander vomits up its previous meal, revealing human bones, a sword, and some clothes. Arthur immediately recognizes the items as belonging to his father. As Jinfrey prepares to battle the beast, he senses a powerful and vengeful aura emanating from Arthur, with a fierce, murderous intent in his eyes. Arthur charges at the beast, determined to avenge his father. Jinfrey shouts for him to stop, but it is too late. The monster slams Arthur with its tail, sending him crashing to the ground. Despite the blow, Arthur struggles to rise, declaring that he will tear the beast apart and charging once more. This time, Jinfrey intervenes, forcibly stopping him. Jinfrey scolds Arthur for letting his emotions control him, but Arthur stubbornly insists on being allowed to fight. Jinfrey tries to reason with him, explaining that, given their current strength, battling salamanders is far too dangerous to undertake alone. He urges Arthur to calm down, and to consider the value of his life for the sake of his remaining family. Overcome with emotion, Arthur is left restrained on the ground, tears streaming down his face as he feels utterly powerless. After managing to calm Arthur down, Jinfrey stands up and releases him. He apologizes for raising his voice, acknowledging that his outburst was uncalled for. Is the monster actually enjoying this moment and munching popcorn like watching a movie? Isn't it supposed to attack or something? As Arthur gets back on his feet, Jinfrey asks if he is a hunter, and informs him that he should have access to the battle cry ability. He then asks about the items in Arthur's inventory. Arthur opens his inventory and notes that he has herbs and arrows. To his surprise, he also finds a peculiar item labeled Cotton Bat's Fluff and wonders when he acquired it. Jinfrey suggests that the item is likely due to his hidden ability as a hunter. Arthur appears puzzled by this. Jinfrey reassures him that he will explain more later, but emphasizes that for now, they need to stick to his plan. If they execute it properly, they might be able to take down the beast. Jinfrey outlines his plan to Arthur, and it's time to put it into action. Both prepare to engage the beast. At Jinfrey's request, Arthur casts his battle cry, providing a buff that increases Jinfrey's speed and strength by 30%. For the next 5 minutes, Arthur hands Jinfrey the Cotton Bat's Fluff. Jinfrey accepts it with a smile, thanks Arthur for the buff, and reminds him to stick to the plan. With that, Jinfrey dashes towards the beast, slashing at it with his poison centipede sword. He understands that the typical strategy for taking down a beast with such a high amount of AP would involve attacking in large numbers. Nonetheless, Jinfrey remains confident in his approach, believing he might still succeed in bringing the creature down. Using his centipede's skill, Jinfrey poisons the salamander. Meanwhile, Arthur focuses on targeting the creature's weak point between its eyebrows with his arrows. Jinfrey acknowledges Arthur's contribution, telling him that a close-range weapon user would struggle against this monster, and expressing his appreciation for having Arthur's support. The salamander, now enraged, turns its attention towards Jinfrey. Despite this, Arthur's relentless barrage of arrows causes the beast to enter berserk mode, significantly boosting its stats by 30%. Arthur comments on feeling the intense heat wave of the berserk mode even from his distant vantage point. Jinfrey does not lose any time. Holding the cotton fluffy ball, he quickly moves toward the salamander, stating that he plans to exploit its berserk mode to his benefit. He had earlier outlined this to Arthur, while discussing the strategy, mentioning that the salamander's weak spot shifts when it enters berserk mode. As a result, Arthur is now instructed to focus on the front legs, which have become the new vulnerable area. Jinfrey slashes at the salamander's front legs, triggering his weapon's mind's eye and allowing him to land a critical hit. As they continue their coordinated attacks, Jinfrey observes that the flames surrounding the salamander have weakened, signaling that it has entered a critical state and may soon start regenerating by absorbing the nearby flames. The salamander beast activates its regeneration skill, causing Arthur to become anxious. Jinfrey urges Arthur to stay focused, reminding him that they must defeat the creature before the buff from the battle cry wears off. Otherwise, the monster could fully recover its health. As they approach the final stage of their plan, Arthur informs Jinfrey that he is prepared for the last strike. Feeling confident, Jinfrey refers to the beast as a lizard and slashes at it once more, this time aiming to force its mouth open. As the salamander opens its mouth wide, Jinfrey tosses the cotton ball into the air, urging Arthur not to miss their one and only opportunity. Arthur, already resolute and fully concentrated, his purplish eyes reflecting his determination, releases his arrow, successfully sending the cotton ball into the beast's mouth. For a moment, Arthur questions whether they have succeeded, glancing over at Jinfrey, who has begun counting. As Jinfrey's countdown concludes, steam erupts from the beast's head, which then explodes. The cotton fluffy ball had a concealed effect, absorbing attacks and reflecting them with triple the force, which was sufficient to defeat the monster. Shortly after the creature is vanquished, the battle cry buffs fade away, and Jinfrey exhales in relief. With the subjugation complete, and both having gained experience points and grown stronger, they proceed toward the summit. On their journey, they reunite with Freyna and the rest of their teammates. Freyna seems worried about her brother and becomes anxious upon noticing the sword in his hand, recognizing it as the one that belonged to their father. Arthur begins to tremble and admits to his sister that he discovered their father's sword inside the salamander's stomach, along with their father's clothes. Freyna embraces her younger brother, soothing him, and reassures him that he has done everything he could. However, Arthur declines to take the credit, insisting that it was Jinfrey who defeated the monster. As the group members turn their focus to Jinfrey, they see him digging a grave for Freyna and Arthur's father. Moved by his actions, the others join in to help him. The siblings then say their prayers for their father. This moment stirs memories in Jinfrey of his own family in this new world. He recalls the day when he and his sister were just children, and their mother arrived with the heartbreaking news of their father's death. Freyna expresses her deep gratitude to Jinfrey for everything he has done for them. However, Jinfrey deflects the praise, stating that Arthur's safety is due to his own abilities. But Arthur interjects, insisting that he knows his limits, and is convinced that his survival up until now has been entirely because of Jinfrey. He adds that the rumors of Jinfrey being exceptionally skilled fail to capture the full extent of his power, which far exceeds what anyone imagines. Jinfrey, not wanting to focus on himself, redirects their attention to their true target, Demon Lord Helmbarrows, the one who commands the monsters of this continent. With determination etched on her face, Freyna vows to reduce the Demon Lord to smithereens. As they continue their journey toward the summit, they encounter small but incredibly powerful beasts, gaining valuable experience as they defeat them along the way. When they finally reach the Agni Volcano summit, they begin scanning the area, carefully searching for any signs of the Demon Lord. Their frantic search makes me wonder if the Demon Lord is a needle in a haystack. As the volcano spews molten lava, a massive, three-faced creature emerges before them. This monstrous being is none other than the Demon Lord Helmbarrows, towering at level 50, its fearsome presence radiating power and dread. The beast's roar is so deafening that everyone is compelled to cover their ears. It seems to understand human speech and taunts them, questioning if they have come only to meet their end. Jinfrey instructs everyone to retreat, anticipating that the Demon Lord's first move will be a breath attack. Freyna urgently echoes Jinfrey's command, urging everyone to move out of range. She shouts at Jinfrey to get away as well, but he remains stationary, a smile on his face. One of the team members casts his shield, offering protection to everyone. Arthur cries out to Jinfrey, fearing that he is about to be incinerated. The three faces of the Demon Lord mock Jinfrey, deriding him for his folly in facing such a devastating attack head-on. Freyna's team is bewildered by what has just occurred. To their astonishment, Jinfrey stands unharmed, despite the overwhelming attack. Helmbarrows, intrigued by Jinfrey's unexpected resilience, finds him to be a fascinating individual, as he had never anticipated anyone would face his assault head-on and emerge without a scratch. It becomes clear that Jinfrey has activated a fire resistance effect, a boon he gained from consuming the flame bone bird meat. Turns out, having a barbecue outdoors wasn't such a bad idea. Arthur's spirits lift at the sight of Jinfrey standing unharmed, while Freyna is left wondering how he managed such a feat. The truth is that Jinfrey endured considerable hardship, consuming 50 pieces of flame bone bird meat to achieve this level of fire resistance. Despite this, the damage from Helmbarrow's attack wasn't entirely negated, but Jinfrey cleverly used the residual damage to trigger his ultra-speed ability. Helmbarrow remarks that, unlike others, Jinfrey displays real courage and is likely to provide a worthy challenge. Jinfrey resolves to demonstrate to the Demon Lord that such arrogance is misplaced. As Helmbarrow plunges into the magma, leaving everyone wondering about his next move, Jinfrey assumes a fighting stance. He recalls the beast's attack patterns from the game and speculates if Helmbarrow is preparing for his special move, a formidable attack known as the Shockwave. As the battle between the Demon Lord and Jinfrey intensifies, the rapid movements become nearly impossible for others to track. Helmbarrow, increasingly impressed by Jinfrey, remarks that he has piqued his interest. The Demon Lord then leaps into the sky, taunting Jinfrey to see if he can withstand his next move. With that, Helmbarrow vanishes underground once more. Freyna's party, now relegated to spectators, grows anxious, knowing that the monster could emerge from anywhere. Meanwhile, Jinfrey remains calm, eyes closed but mind alert. Utilizing his magic perception, he manages to dodge Helmbarrow's attack at the last possible moment, leaving everyone astonished. Helmbarrow praises Jinfrey for his keen instincts, unaware that it is actually Jinfrey's Lucifer's halo enhancing his abilities. Jinfrey smirks, confident in his understanding of Helmbarrow's every move. The Demon Lord dismisses this as mere luck and vanishes into the magma once again. Frustrated with the repetitive game of hide and seek, Jinfrey challenges Helmbarrow to confront him directly rather than hiding. Focusing on his magic perception, Jinfrey locates the Demon Lord and prepares to counterattack with his ultra speed. Helmbarrow reappears behind Jinfrey, but before anyone can react, Jinfrey uses his speed to vanish and position himself above the Demon Lord. Executing a planned counterattack, Jinfrey slashes at Helmbarrow, taunting him about whether he still doubts Jinfrey's ability to strike back. The spectators watch in awe as Jinfrey continues to impress them. Helmbarrow, now visibly ragged, mocks Jinfrey for his arrogance after landing just a single hit. The Demon Lord grows serious, declaring that he will not allow anyone to thwart his mission. With that, he dives into the magma for the fourth time, further irritating Jinfrey. The cycle of attacks repeats, and Helmbarrow is struck by a critical hit from Jinfrey's centipede sword. The attack also poisons him, leading Helmbarrow to believe that Jinfrey can foresee his every move. Infuriated, the Demon Lord accuses Jinfrey of using a dirty trick. Jinfrey responds by pointing out that it is common knowledge that Helmbarrow lacks poison resistance, and he sees no dishonor in exploiting an opponent's weakness. The spectators, continually astonished by Jinfrey's prowess, now regard him as far more powerful than they initially believed, especially considering he is facing a monster that has decimated countless parties. Jinfrey taunts the Demon Lord, calculating that the poison will kill him in less than 5 minutes. This provokes Helmbarrow, whose scorching heat waves intensify in response. Freyna instructs her party members to move to a safer distance. Helmbarrow unleashes a fire breath attack, which deviates from his attack pattern in the game. Jinfrey evades the attack effortlessly, prompting the Demon Lord to belittle him for relying on magic detection abilities. Jinfrey challenges the Demon Lord, questioning if this is merely an excuse as he nears defeat. Helmbarrow smirks, posing a question to Jinfrey about whether he can dodge attacks from all three of them, even if he can sense them. Jinfrey is perplexed as Helmbarrow splits into 3 separate monsters, an unexpected development that diverges from the game's pattern. Each of the 3 beasts leaps and plunges back into the magma. Helmbarrow's earlier comment now makes sense to Jinfrey. Evading attacks from all 3 at once could indeed be a formidable challenge. As one of the trio emerges and attacks, Jinfrey narrowly avoids it. He knows that even a single head's attack could be fatal, especially given his already critical health. Despite being cornered in a dire situation, Jinfrey finds the challenge exhilarating. The Demon Lord announces that his next attack will be his final one, promising to ensure Jinfrey is sent to hell. Just as Jinfrey is on the brink of being struck by the beasts, Freyna's spell, Frost Explosion, intervenes at the last moment, saving him from the impending attack. Freyna asserts that facing 3 opponents is beneath the dignity of a Demon Lord and jumps into the fray. As one of the trio targets her, Jinfrey swiftly intervenes, decapitating the beast. With this, the odds shift to a 2 versus 2 battle. Jinfrey wipes his sweat away, feeling reinvigorated and ready to take on the challenge. The central body of the trio lunges at Jinfrey in a bid to avenge its fallen sibling, but Jinfrey blocks the attack with his sword. He turns to Freyna, who is engaged with the remaining beast, and inquires if she can use ice magic. Freyna confirms that she can, though she specializes more in fire magic. Jinfrey then asks if she is managing the intense heat. Freyna explains that she is mitigating the burn effects with some buffs, but acknowledges that these won't last much longer. He instructs Freyna to hold her position for a moment. Using his ultra speed, he swiftly eliminates the remaining beast that was attacking her. He explains that the poison he had previously inflicted makes it easy for him to dispatch them. With the two bodies defeated, the middle one retreats into the magma once again. Does anyone know how many times the Demon Lord took a dip? Jinfrey instructs Freyna to take cover, assuring her that he can manage the remaining situation on his own. Before retreating, Freyna casts a Sunflame effect on Jinfrey, enhancing both his attack power and fire resistance. She warns him that this effect comes with a drawback. She cannot use any other magic while it is active. Jinfrey expresses his gratitude to the Flame Magician and eagerly prepares for the final showdown. Meanwhile, Demon Lord Helmbarrows sits on a rocky outcrop inside the volcano, lamenting the loss of his right and left halves to mere humans. Before he can dwell further on his thoughts, Jinfrey makes his dramatic entrance, joining him in the magma. The Demon Lord, startled and bewildered by Jinfrey's ability to withstand the magma, struggles to comprehend how a human could endure the intense heat. Without hesitation, Jinfrey attacks, slashing the Demon Lord's middle body and slicing it into several pieces. With the Demon Lord defeated, Jinfrey swiftly returns to the ground. Arthur hurries towards Jinfrey, eager to check on his well-being. The man in the red cape yells out a command for the healing potions to be brought immediately. Arthur appears both stunned and impressed by Jinfrey's actions. Freyna, overjoyed, finds tears falling from her eyes as the thought of their father being avenged fills her heart with overwhelming emotion. The system panel materializes in front of Jinfrey and the others, informing them that they have successfully vanquished the Demon Lord. Jinfrey becomes thrilled upon noticing the vast amount of gold he has acquired, which totals an astounding 800,000, and imagines his mother's shock at seeing her son achieve such wealth. He also receives S and a rarity items as drops, though these do not seem to excite him nearly as much. Freyna approaches him, accompanied by Arthur, and they express their deep gratitude, acknowledging that without him, they might never have accomplished this feat or reached the summit at all. Jinfrey mentions that he dislikes the sudden formalities, insisting that their success was purely the result of their combined hard work. He makes Freyna blush by complimenting the buff she used on him during the battle. Freyna, wanting to show her gratitude, expresses her desire to offer him something, but the highest rarity reward she managed to get was merely a B-ranked Scorching Rock. It turns out that the Scorching Rock, despite its lower rank, is the very item Jinfrey had been hoping to obtain from this battle. He becomes excited and asks Freyna if she would be interested in trading it for his higher rarity Hard Claw drop item. The others quickly start to argue, pointing out that the Hard Claw is the most prestigious drop from this dungeon, and they can't understand why Jinfrey would want to exchange it for what seems like a simple rock. Freyna hands the Scorching Rock to Jinfrey and insists that he keep it without needing to offer any trade in return. Jinfrey bursts into a joyful dance, thrilled to finally have the item in his possession. Freyna, however, stands there puzzled, unable to understand what exactly is going on in Jinfrey's mind. Suddenly, Jinfrey's Hello activates, revealing to him that Freyna has begun developing a crush on him. Her blushing in front of Jinfrey doesn't go unnoticed, stirring jealousy in Jitas, the shield bearer, who secretly harbors a deep crush on Freyna. Sensing that things could get complicated, Jinfrey decides it might be wise to steer clear of any unnecessary trouble. He resolves to continue on his journey, setting his sights on his next destination, the bustling town on the second continent, known as the Town of Desires.